those of you who are new tonight, welcome in. A lot of you guys know I'm Blair Woods. Hi. I host Uncover Paranormal, this show, every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And yeah, we're going to get into that today. We usually just hop right into it. So, last week's Uncover Paranormal, we went through and we discussed pets and paranormal. Outdoor King, thank you. We discuss pets and paranormal, and we go through and essentially just tell a story or get a topic. We go over it, and we either try to debunk it or we try to figure out if it's something that could be actually legit. Tonight's topic's gonna be really interesting, but last week's topic we had More Rob on the show. We did a mashup of Uncover Paranormal and Pet Profiles. Shout out More, that was so cool. A lot of you guys really enjoyed that, so that was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for letting us do that. Thank you, Vampy. We are going through this week. Oh, thank you. We are going through this week, and we are talking about, if you can't guess by the music in the background, Egyptian pyramids, specifically Giza, but in general, the pyramids. They're very, mysterious in their own right. Before we get into that, though, if you guys didn't hear me before, we do have a special guest this week, Ren Higgs. Ren, I'm going to have you request the box in just a little bit. First and foremost, everybody welcome in. This is Uncover Paranormal with Blair Woods. We do this every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like I said last week, we went over the topic of ghosts and animals and essentially why animals have such better senses and why animals are known to actually come through and be able to sense ghosts or spiritual presences in your rooms, in your environment, with their heightened senses, as well as, of course, they didn't have, we discussed that they don't have the ability to form opinions. Sorry. And so with that being said, I have to wonder if anybody has noticed their pets doing anything weird. Waffles hasn't. She's just been having the zoomies. I'm sure you guys will see her in the stream. But tonight we're going over Egyptian pyramids and the pyramids of Giza. Now, this is going to be kind of a long one because obviously there's a backstory on the pyramids that's worth noting, and the stories as well are pretty lengthy. So with that being said, the way that we're going to do this, I might not be able to get to everyone's comments right as you guys comment. So just bear with us. Ren and I will be discussing the pyramids tonight, and then we will open up a section for you guys if you guys have any opinions, comments, or questions about them. And yeah, Ren, I'll go ahead and have you request the box. Hi guys, welcome in. Thank you, Vampy. Hi, Miss Ren.
Hey, good evening, guys. What's up? I'm good. How are you? I need to wear my glasses tonight. I can barely see. What up?
Every day. Would you like to introduce yourself for us?
Yeah. Hey, guys. My name is Ren Higgs. I am a streamer, obviously, on Meet Me as well. I am very lucky. I have a featured show as well. It was on last night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a trivia game show, so if you love trivia, if you love, just playing games or watching people sweat while they play games, it is quite a fun time. We've had Blair on the show before. She's great, and we're going to have her on again soon. And like I said, guys, it is just all for fun over at Us Dumped. So please come watch. It is just a good time all around.
It's a lot of fun, guys. I love being on it. I love watching it. It is so much fun. I'm so glad to have you tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
If you guys don't know how the show works, essentially we take a topic and we go through with the guest to discuss that topic and open up the topic discussion for you guys as well. At the very end of the stream, however, Ren is going to share a ghost story or two with us. So if you guys love ghosts, if you guys love spooky stories, stick around to the end too, because not only are we talking about Egyptian pyramids, specifically Giza, but we're also going to be going into ghosty stories tonight. We love it. We
Oh
love
my God. I'm really excited to talk to you. I'm like, excited to hear about Giza. I actually have a degree in archaeology and anthropology, so I did study a lot of this stuff. So I'm really excited to see what you come up with on the paranormal side about all of this stuff. So this is like right up my alley of fun things I love.
I'm so excited to hear that. I didn't even know that. That is so cool. I love it whenever you guys like know a little bit more because obviously in the time that we have on the stream, like I can only get so much. So it's
Yeah.
nice to be able to like have people that will be able to contribute to to the findings that I have found.
I'm
I did
super
not
excited.
study. I did not study archaeology. I dropped out of college actually to continue singing, but I'm excited to see between the stuff I was able to find and your actual knowledge what we can.
Well, like I said, it's all subjective. Like I said, I know a lot of maybe the boring stuff, so I'm excited to see what fun stuff you figured out. So
I'm excited. All right, welcome in, guys. This is Uncover Paranormal with Blair Woods. We do this every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we also have Rin Higgs in the box right here, guys. Go favorite Rin and show her some love, please.
thanks, guys. Hi.
And to the pyramids of Giza. So of course, you guys know that with the pyramids, there's already a lot of like discrepancies and just questions that people have, like how were they made? What in the world? Like these buildings, like would you call it a building?
It's a structure. I think a building really connotates people coming in and out, but it is an artifact. It's a structure. It's
Yeah,
an ancient, statue mausoleum. That's correct.
they're insane. Like for the most part, they were used as tombs, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know that much about them. I just know what I learned in school and then what I learned briefly on the internet. So correct me if I'm wrong, but
You take it, girl. It's your show. You take it, and if I have something fun to add, I'll make sure I pop a hand up and add a little fun. So go ahead.
all right. So also peep the Egyptian music in the back. I went ahead and put that on because that music actually really is soothing. So I figured it'd be cool to listen to while we're doing this stream. Okay, well, the pyramids of Giza. So this is kind of a summary of the pyramids in general. Um, the Great Pyramid of Giza is one of the only seven wonders of the ancient world still standing. Originally 480 feet tall, it has about 20 feet or 25 feet that it's lost in height due to erosion. The Giza Pyramid stands as a symbol of Africa's best civilization, situated not far away from Cairo, Egypt. I probably am not pronouncing these words right, by the way, guys. I got my education in Florida. So, Ren, if I'm also mispronouncing something, let me know.
I'm trying to follow you. You're talking super fast, so I'm catching what I get. So go ahead, keep on going. And yeah, I mean, there's the Great Pyramid, which there's several smaller ones around, which is really very exciting. And they're another cool thing about us, they're within walking distance of the city of Cairo. So if you just decide to walk outside the city limits, not even like 2 miles, you'll hit them. Thank you guys for all that. But yeah, they're still very close to current civilization, and yeah, so keep on going, and let's can see what more you got. I'm so excited to talk about this. I love Egypt, one of my favorite topics.
Imagine having the pyramids as your neighbors. I'm just saying, that would be so cool.
Yeah, looking out your patio, and there they are.
Yep, there they are. I love it. This pyramid is also called the Pyramid of Cheops, or the Pyramid of Khufu. I'm not saying that right. I know I'm not.
I can't even put my headphones on. I'm having a really hard time hearing you, so it probably is me. So keep talking. I'm gonna put my headphones on.
Okay. So, guys, we're talking about the pyramids of Giza. We've got Ren right now in the box. Can you guys hear me okay? Someone said, can hardly hear you. Are you talking to me? Okay. Just making sure. Okay. So we can hear me. Cool, cool, cool. All right. So we're talking about the pyramids of Giza. We're talking about the pyramids in general, but specifically Giza. And we're talking about their paranormal. But right fast, we are going to discuss kind of the background of the pyramids because the pyramids are quite the mystery, honestly. And just to take into account something that's really interesting, the planning that went into the pyramids. If you divide the English, Blair. If you divide the circumference of the pyramid twice by the height of the pyramid, the value is pi, accurate to the last decimal digit. Yet the value of pi would only come to discovery after about 2,000 years later. how the architect Hemin got such an advanced mathematical and architectural knowledge is still, you know, up for grabs. I don't know if maybe there's an explanation for that you know.
Well, so a little bit I know about the construction is it was actually several different men over time who, and I'm saying men because it is ancient Egypt, so it's just men talking about these things. Over time, they went over the structure several times. So by the time it was finally ready to be built, about 12 men had touched the calculations. So I mean, think about some of the smartest minds in the ancient developing world. There's a reason they definitely came to pi before pi became known to everybody. So, you know, just think about it. It had a long evolution of architecture, mathematicians, and, you know, of course, you know, structural design. So, I mean, Egypt created some of the most stunning architectural design of the old world. And so, yeah, 12 men had put their hands in this before it actually came to fruition. So
That's
quite
insane.
quite a lot of math involved.
That's even more insane, honestly, that 12 men all had their hands in it. And at the end, like when it's all said and done, you get pi, something that hadn't even been created yet, which is really weird.
Well, pi has always existed as a natural equation. So, but like, yeah, like imagine how interesting. Just like all things, you know, they in the Mayan culture, they also did pyramids that are almost, you know, sized down, but almost to the complete mathematical evenness of the Egyptian pyramids. And they're a civilization that never knew the Egyptians. So it's one of those things where you just realize if you get enough minds together, you're going to figure out the same information and eventually.
That is really cool. I love science. Science is so cool, guys. That was a really nerdy thing to say, but science is so cool, guys.
It's incredible. I mean, it creates everything around us if we sit and think about it for too long. But continue. I'm so enthralled.
I love it. All right, so the transportation, something that's really interesting and that I still can't wrap my mind around, and I'm really excited to hear what Ren has to say about this, is because in the 2.3 million stones that sit on the base, covering 5.3 hectares, about 230 meters long on each side, all historians agree that the use of the wheel wasn't known to ancient Egyptians, so how could they have transported 2.3 million blocks of limestone blocks, each weighing 1 ton? These blocks each weighed 1 ton. How in the heck did they get these blocks there without a wheel?
I mean, just to give you a reference of what a ton is, like imagine a cow. Like you have to move, like a cow and a half. So that's just a good kind of thing. So yes, so I do think to say the wheel was not invented is kind of it's kind of a loose way to say it. I mean, we've always had transportation available to us. I mean, there is the talk. So Egypt is, I'm just going to break it down a little bit. So there's Upper and Lower Egypt. So I don't know if many of you guys know, but the Nile actually flows not from north to south, but from south to north. So Upper Egypt is actually closer to where the Sudan is now, and then Egypt is Lower Egypt. So where the pyramids are is considered Lower Egypt. So the water flows this way into Cairo, down into everything, up into the Mediterranean. So imagine deeper into Africa, there's trees, there's vegetation. It's not quite as arid as you look at in Egypt, as we think of Egypt as being like, a barren wasteland of sand and a river. And there's more down in Upper Egypt. And so they used the river to get those logs down. So there is a chance that they used logs almost like, like when you lay pencils down, you roll them like this and it goes back and forth. So imagine transporting like that. So things coming down the river, being carved in Upper Egypt, which is where most of the old Egyptian life was in Upper Egypt, so closer to the Sudan and, in Lower Africa as we know it. So they use a lot of the river to transport things. And then, like I said, it's very likely they use logs to roll the bricks like this. And then, of course, use slave labor to install them.
Yeah,
and pulley systems and whatnot. But they were very highly developed. And it's one of those things where the Egyptians don't always talk about how they got things done. They more did it for the grace of the gods. So it's one of those things where you're not going to see as much of how it was made as much as aren't we incredible, we made this thing. Let's not tell you how we did it. We did it for the glory of the gods. So just always remember there's a little bit of that ancient history missing.
I also noticed too whenever they were going over, and we'll go back through this too, but in the hieroglyphs, whenever you go into, if you're able to go into a tomb, a lot of them have hieroglyphs that are quite egotistical, um, that are very like, I am this person, and don't forget I am this person, and they'll have like their names like said over and over and over again. And we're going to talk about one
In a
specifically.
cartouche, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about one specifically that had their name like that. But I read too that that's common for most people that were buried within the tombs too.
I mean, well, that's, imagine you have the greatest mausoleum ever created for yourself. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, if you build a pyramid, I'm gonna talk about myself all the effing time on all those walls, you know? I mean,
That's
think you're commissioning this, you know, your people are commissioning this for you, you know, it is your, it's your vessel. It's like naming, you know, a yacht. Like, it's all about you. So, I mean, of course, it's going to be egotistical because it's all for the glory of the gods, the glory of you, who are chosen by the gods to lead Egypt. So it's definitely all meant to be presentational and entertainment.
I love.
Imagine like every hieroglyphic as a marquee to just announce who you are.
Honestly, I would.
Yeah,
I would do
right.
that
Who
for,
wouldn't?
especially if you have a pyramid. Like you literally have a pyramid. I'm gonna put my name all over that, like you said.
Why
Like
not?
it's a pyramid, man.
It's
So
for
cool.
you. It was created for you. And I mean, what's so interesting is, you know, they're created for men that we've lost a lot of information about, which is so interesting. It just goes to show you that, you know, statues and, you know, mausoleums can stay long after we know who's actually there. And the Egyptians, they have a saying that when you stop speaking the name, that is when your legend truly dies.
Yeah,
So if you stop speaking the name, those people get lost to history. And that is the greatest failure of an Egyptian king, queen, is for their name to stop being spoken. So, you know, what better way to keep it being spoken than make the greatest pyramid ever?
that's insane. I love that. I absolutely love that. All right, guys, if you're new to the stream, this is Uncover Paranormal. We do this every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight we have Ren Higgs in the box. Please give her a favorite, guys. We are going over the pyramids and paranormal ghosty stories in the pyramids. We just did the backstory essentially on the Pyramid of Giza, just so you guys know exactly like, you know, how it was crafted, just the wild like preciseness that went into this pyramid and pyramids like it. And just how insane, and while science can describe most of it, and there's definitely a this could have been the answer for this for it, it's still a wonder that at the time
Exactly.
humans were able to do that, because quite honestly, I mean, I feel like the smartest minds in the world now probably could create something similar, but it wouldn't, I don't think we would have 12. I feel like maybe it would be the 5 or 3 top minds in the world to create something as magnificent and precise
Right.
pyramid.
And also, you know, they didn't have the technology that we do today. And yes, they had technology. They had what they considered to be new technology, but they didn't have what we have to. So it's like, imagine trying to construct that today. How long it takes to make a building? How long would it be to make a pyramid? So I mean, and also like it's baffling. I understand why people think aliens were involved. I constantly, when I read things, be like, I don't even know if that could be that could be possible.
Yeah.
So
I feel like maybe not involved in the building, because the building, once you like think about it, like after you had said like how the river flows, like definitely could have been done without the wheel for sure, and you could probably still have the wheel, and just the way things work in general, even though it's 1 ton, like you could probably put that on 2 slabs and drag those 2 slabs
I mean,
uphill.
water hydraulics was a big part of building Egypt, and obviously
Yeah,
the irrigation and the fertilization of the land. So, I mean, it river fertilization and hydroponics has been around for forever. I mean, it was the beginning of civilization in the Tigris and the Euphrates, so it's
yeah,
been around forever.
insane. I love it. All right, so since we're going into this, since we've got the technical part out of the way, since you guys now know a little bit of the backstory, if you will, of Giza, I want to hear what you guys think as we go into this, because as Ren had just mentioned before, a lot of people do chalk pyramids up to being made from aliens. That has never been like a surefire belief for me. I giggle at it because, like, I do believe aliens are in existence. I think it would be very naive to think that we're the only living species in an entire universe. But I do think if they did have anything to do with it, I feel like the only thing would have been like telling them how to do it. Like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna, you already have your water hydraulic systems to build. This is what you're gonna do, and this is how you're gonna do it. Like, if you want to honor us, like maybe they thought the aliens were their gods. I have no idea. Um, their gods that they were worshiping could have actually just been the aliens that were talking to them, if that theory is correct. Again, I take that one with a grain of salt, because while I do believe in aliens, there's just a lot of science involved in the construction of that, so I don't
There's
know.
always with like their crowns and stuff like that, and the way that the especially Upper Egypt's the head shapes and the old world of the old kingdom in Upper Egypt, the crown shapes, people always equate it as being alien because they have that long head, like
Yeah.
you see aliens. So it's just one of those things where it just keeps adding on to this, a story of aliens must have been involved. So quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with Egypt in general, just like the way that the entire civilization, during like the reign of the pharaohs, how all of that just went about. I'm obsessed with it. I love it. I obviously don't know that much about it, but I know what I've learned in school, and I think it's really cool. Again, I'm so excited that you said that you like have this knowledge, because I love the pyramids. That's why I
Oh,
chose
you
the
like
topic
it?
today, because I love
Yeah.
it.
Ancient Egypt is definitely a magical, spooky place. And I think that we kind of forget that, magic and spooky has been around for a long, long time. So
Magic and spooky. Okay.
there's your next great hit.
Magic and spooky. So we're going to get into the ghost stories, the stories that you guys, I'm sure, are here for. So, of course, we just went over the Giza pyramids. We're going to get into the ghostly paranormal part of the pyramids. So, strange sightings and strange hieroglyphics have people wondering if the ghosts of Egyptians remain in those pyramids. Speakingly to maybe the ghosts of those who ventured into the pyramids and didn't come back out. As we know, the pyramids are tombs, and of course, there's a lot of trapdoors. There's a lot of just, maybe booby traps would be probably the better term for it.
I think it's accurate term. Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't, maybe not like trap doors, but like basically it's a maze, and it was designed so that if you did find yourself in there, you either couldn't get back out or you couldn't get to the actual tomb, if I'm correct.
Yeah. I mean, Aries, he's popping a lot of information in here. Some of it correct, some of it I'm not sure about. But yes, it was to prevent thievery, but also part of the complex design of a pyramid is when you, because it's a mausoleum basically, when you go into the afterlife, if you're rich enough and if you've spent enough in your life and you've embellished your tomb enough going forward, you are given the guidance to get to the afterlife. And a lot of times pyramids are meant to be not only designed so that to prevent people from getting in, but prevent unnatural things from getting out. So it's kind of a little bit of a both thing. Thank you so much. But yeah, it's very interesting. It's not only for the in but for the out. So,
Imagine all of the pharaohs just start coming out and they're now zombies.
right. I
Love
would
it.
say, well, if they were rich enough, they would figure out how to get out. But they were buried with not only their servants but their animals, and sometimes the servants would also be buried with their children, which is just there's a lot of people in a tomb, not just a pharaoh, am I dropping some craziness on you, Blair?
I had one question because I didn't know that much about the
Yeah.
pyramids. Wait, so their servants and their families, did they like, once the
Yeah,
pharaoh died?
you are so the pharaohs are technically an extension of a god. Just like they say, like from the divine right, like like the Queen of England, she was
Yeah.
by God's divine right, she became queen, and it's the pharaohs were the same way by the divine right of the gods. They became pharaohs, and so when people served them, you were serving a god, and when a god dies, you need to go into the afterlife and serve that god too. So pharaohs would not so much the advisory roles, but like handmaidens, all that stuff, they would be killed, but they would be asked to join, and it was a deep, deep family dishonor to not join. So if you were a handmaiden to a pharaoh and his queen, and they both passed away, you would be expected to end your life and lay down next to them for the afterlife to serve them there.
Yeah,
But
that's
you would not be mummified, and your organs would not be put into canopic jars. So you would, in essence, kind of be looking pretty gross in the afterlife.
yeah. I gotta say that's a no for me. I'll take the high dishonor.
Yeah, right. I think I'll just get out of town. So yeah.
That's a no for me. That is something I never knew. That is insane. Thank you for sharing that. Ew, I love it.
Right? It blows your mind
I love it.
when you think about it. So yeah, and then they're
Cool.
buried with their pets as well. Dogs, cats, everything. Yeah, because cats were also sacred, but they would take all their pets with them, whether they had passed on or not.
That's scary. Well, pyramids, guys, the pharaohs.
There you go.
Love it. So going back into the ghostly parts of the pyramids, we were just talking about the design of the pyramids being basically so to prevent thievery, as well as Rin had noted, to prevent anything unnatural from getting out into the world. I love how you worded that, by the way, because there's a lot of speculation of this is crazy too, and I didn't include this in this because it's not really paranormal so much as it is just like kind of but vampires, like them being vampires, like that's a big thing that when you search and you like do research on the paranormal of side of the pyramids, vampires pop up too, a lot of them.
It's really interesting because the vampires are not quite as we think about the Roman vampires, sucking the blood from Romania. Like it's not at all like that. It's a lot of, I would say maybe more like soul vampires than as much as like blood-sucking vampires. It's very interesting. And then we also mentioned Cleopatra. Cleopatra is not really a good example of a pharaoh passing on because she had such a Roman influence. Her whole business was so different than those of Giza and the original pharaohs of Old Kingdom.
Yeah.
So
it's insane.
But yeah, there's a lot of soul snatching. Again, part of the afterlife. The bigger harem you had going into the afterlife, the greater your success would be and the greater your legend would become.
That's insane. I love it. I love it so much. Some of this is a little scary. I'm not going to lie. They really like took to heart some of these things. Woo! I love it. So we're going back into the ghostly part of the pyramids, and we're discussing essentially the ghostly sightings and the ghostly happenings that have said to happen in the pyramids. I, of course, have never visited the pyramids. I do not know for sure, but we're going to talk about it really fast. So some of the hieroglyphics are said to have curses inscribed in them, and some of them are also said to be resurrection spells and dark magic, which I guess goes back to if you're rich enough, you probably have access to those spells to lead you back into the afterlife. Mm-hmm. And they have it over and over again on the walls. And the article I read made the joke, should a pharaoh need to make a second coming, with the question mark, and I kept that in because it made me giggle. And I just love it. So I found an article by the Paranormal Asylum into the relation of paranormal and the pyramids. They specifically were talking about Giza, which is why we're specifically talking about Giza. So we're going to get into that really fast. So it is said that Howard Carter was an archaeologist. Sorry, I'm having to hit the enter button so I can actually read this. Howard Carter was an archaeologist and an Egyptologist. I said that.
Egyptologist.
There we go. I was like, something about this doesn't feel.
It's a kind of hard. It's a hard word to read and then pronounce. Egyptologist.
Okay, beautiful. He was born in England in 1874. He was best known as being the man who discovered the tomb of King Tut, the 14th century Egyptian boy pharaoh. The tomb was said to be cursed, and that anyone who disturbed it would die a horrible death. Terrifying. Many people who were there with Carter when the tomb was opened did indeed die from bizarre circumstances. I'm very excited to hear your opinion on that in just a minute, because I've always heard of that, and I don't know.
That's quite an entertaining story. I'll be excited to talk about it.
I'm excited. So Carter also died peacefully many years after the tomb had been opened at the age of 64 in 1939. Historians believe that Carter evaded the curse, but perhaps he didn't. Several employees and visitors at the pyramid site have reported seeing a man dressed in 19th century attire roaming around the pyramids. Some report sightings also include small children with that man, and the witnesses say he seems to be searching for something, possibly another tomb. A lot of other people say too that sometimes they see cats roaming around, and sometimes they see just random like older people running around. I've never seen a story where they actually have seen the ghost of a pharaoh. So
I hear cats most often. That I hear the most of cats. Not so much
yeah,
any people, but I always hear about phantom cats, which is very
yeah.
interesting.
I feel like too, you probably wouldn't see too many ghosts of pharaohs if they did their thing right in the pyramids, because they're supposed to be in the like the correct afterlife.
There you go. I mean, yeah, because yeah, there's there's the Book of the Dead and then the Book of the Living. The Book of the
Yeah,
Dead is to prepare you for death, and the Book of the Living is to prepare you for your journey afterwards. So it's like there's a lot of information that is given. So yeah, if they did it correctly, they're not ever meant to return to this realm. They're meant to rule in the next realm. So it's quite an interesting thing. So yeah, you're right. If they did it right, they're not going to be ghosts. But I've heard of a lot of cats roaming
yeah.
around.
And they're saying other people too. Obviously, they're saying Carter and the little girl with Carter, but I wouldn't doubt if they probably had some of those servants walking around too. Especially since you said they're not embalmed, so they kind of just get thrown in there.
Yeah.
So, if they don't do their job right, they'll probably just get kicked out of the afterlife too, and then they get
Right.
to the pyramid.
Right.
Oh,
Then they wander around aimlessly in purgatory. That's what that if you don't make it, you wander aimlessly in purgatory. So, the Egyptians are one of the first to have, an idea of heaven and then
yeah,
an idea of purgatory, which one could argue as hell, but to them it's more of a limbo, which is what purgatory is considering
yeah,
in a Judeo-Christian sense. Purgatory is a limbo,
yeah.
not a hell, not a heaven, but still not a place you want to be. So,
No, an in between. A lot
yeah.
of people usually describe it as very plain and very boring. Um,
Yeah,
that's like the idea. But
monotonous.
yeah, just like crap. You have to live this day in and day out, day in and day out. Might as
Exactly.
You're right though. It might as well be considered a hell because I feel like that would be
It's
a
a form of hell.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going back into the curses with Carter discovering the pyramid, or not discovering, but opening up the pyramids, and then of course his crew died mysteriously. He died, a little after they're set. It's said that he evaded the curse, but also that possibly he didn't because there's still ghosts lurking. Mysterious orb figures have also been seen within the pyramids and around the pyramids. The figures seem to be in the shape of a pharaoh. Seems like maybe that pharaoh didn't do the right thing. Um, they come from the pyramids and head south toward the Valley of the Kings. Now, if that's an actual shape, I can go ahead and say that if they're actually seeing like figures like marching, it's probably not actually their ghosts, it's just their essence. If they did that over and over again, if that's something that they repetitively did, if they were making that movement
It's
for
an imprint
life,
in time. Yeah.
exactly. And sometimes those of us who are tapped more into our spiritual side, like you can see that energy move, and you'll see forms move, which is why a lot of us see things that we think are ghosts, but sometimes they're actually just an essence, and they're just honestly they're energy, but they're not. It's like old energy. It's like when a star dies out and you can still see the star.
Right.
It's essentially
It's just residual energies, and residual energies, they don't have, a mental presence to them. Like I said, it's just a repetitive nature that imprints on time over. It's like, I like to consider it like tire treads. It's
yeah.
there. It'll always be there until, it's repaved. So I'm just pulling up Carter's group of people because I want to talk about each of their crazy deaths. I couldn't remember everyone's name, so you keep talking. I'm trying to get everyone's name.
I
So
love it. I love it. All right. So added on to the orbs and added on to what I'm sure is just residual energy walking back and forth. These sightings could be connected to the stories of the ghost of the pharaoh Khufu. Again, I don't think I'm saying that right. Who is believed to come out of his pyramid at midnight dressed in traditional Egyptian armor. Local residents report seeing the former Egyptian king in their homes. The ancient specter tells them, is specter a word? I thought it was sector.
yes,
Okay.
specter is a word. A specter is another word for ghost.
Oh, okay. The ancient specter tells them to get out before he vanishes. Maybe the pharaoh doesn't like seeing modern housing developments built so close to his tombs and his sacred ground. I feel like that because they talk about that specific pharaoh a lot, Khufu, and his like curse. I feel like maybe he just didn't like do the afterlife thing correctly then, if he's just like chilling there, if that's the
Or,
case.
like I said, he maybe that was not his ideal plan. Maybe he wanted to continue to be a ruler. Maybe, and like that's the cool thing about the Book of the Dead is you can you can create your own narrative there. You basically all you have to the only really big part of it is you have to be ferried across the night sky by Ra in order to get to the afterlife, to when the sun rises on your new life. So if you choose not to do that, you can, if you want to stay in this earthly plane, there's a way in the Book of the Dead, I'm sure, to navigate that. And so maybe that was what his choice was.
I would never. I would never. Please pack me up and ship me out to whatever plane is next. This is
Yeah,
enough.
she's ready to take the chariot in the sky.
This is
So,
enough, man.
which is interesting because when you go to Greek and Roman mythology, they have the same thing of the night sky being painted through a chariot, which is an original Egyptian mentality.
I love that. I love it. Okay. I want to hear now, since we kind of went over all the little ghost stories and what's in the hieroglyphs, I want to know now your knowledge and or opinions on said topic.
On Egyptian culture, or like
On
Howard Carter, or what, all of it?
whatever you want to do, and then you can lead it into your ghost story, which, by the way, guys, if you guys are new here, this is Uncover Paranormal. We do this every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we have Miss Rin Higgs right here in the box, so please give her a favorite, show her some love. She is about to kind of give her not only does she have knowledge on the Egyptian pyramids, but she's also going to give her, I guess, opinion or like likeliness, if you will, on it, and of course, to go into her own personal ghost story. All right.
Yeah. So I did. You touched on Howard Carter, so I feel like you guys, if you want to go down a rabbit hole of one of the most interesting archaeological finds and fallouts, please look at the discovery of the tomb of Tutankhamun. So he was a pharaoh, a child pharaoh. He was deeply disfigured. As you know, when you inbreed for so many generations, you will be. It is said that he is murdered, but it is more likely that his birth defects caused him to not quite function properly, and for him to expire from just a very hard life. The poor boy, 14, he was terribly, terribly in pain.
Yeah.
He is, quite an interesting story. But he had quite a lavish tomb, which people are like, oh, why do you have such a lavish tomb? That's actually not. Thank you, Carlos. That's actually not that rare for him to have such a lavish tomb at 14. So this, like, as much as people are like, wow, look at all the jewels, this is not new. Everybody got this treatment. So what's really interesting is Howard Carter discovered this tomb. So the entry part had already been ransacked by thieves, as is very common. So the front part of his tomb was collapsed, which, tomb raiders were very popular in the early 1900s all the way up to about the 1930s. Very, very popular. So Howard Carter's like hitting right at the end of this era of robbing the tombs. They sell all the artifacts. They go to just rich collectors all over the world. So Howard ended up getting, though, into the second chamber. And of course, like all chambers, like Blair had said, there are tons and tons of curses. I mean, of course, you're going to, like, just like we have a security system in a house, like, if you come in, we're going to pick you up. That's basically what all the hieroglyphs said, is don't come in here, there's a curse. What was so interesting, though, about that one is because the find was so well preserved, this was so highly publicized. So when people started dying, so Howard Carter is a poor archaeologist. Archaeologists have no money, guys. Indiana Jones is a total lie. He has no money. So Lord Craven is a very, very wealthy lord in England, and he wants the artifacts, he wants the glory, he wants his name in the British Museum, and so he finances Howard Carter's journey. And so, but he ends up being one of the first to die. He gets blood poisoning, and so they think like, oh, he got bit by a mosquito. We all know, malaria is a real disease, and so he had that plus pneumonia. So he had a real death. A lot of the people who worked on it had died. So there's another thing, but someone talked about airflow earlier. So air in the old tombs gets trapped, and so air is an organic matter. Air can contain bacteria. If you keep imagine a petri dish is a tomb. When you open it, all that air is highly toxic, highly poisonous. That's why you usually collapse it and you back away and you let it sit for like a couple days and then you go in. So imagine all these poor workers going in, opening up this tube, breathing in all these toxic spores of decaying body and rot. Of course, you're going to all die. It's just one of those things where it makes sense why everyone passed away. But the legend is very exciting. And you can also see Tutankhamun's things that came from his tomb. You can see an outline of his body and his coffin and his sarcophagus. It's touring often. I was lucky enough to get to see a lot of it, and a recreation. You can no longer see the original just because of its preservation, but it's quite interesting. And I will say it is very haunting just to go around and look at all of the items that were laid to rest with this young prince. So it's very interesting. I definitely say go down that rabbit hole. It's much more fun to read about than I could tell you about, because you could just click all the wiki links and get deep into it. So I suggest y'all do that tonight if you want a good bedtime story.
That's really interesting, though, that you said it like being like a petri dish, because I guess I never thought about it being completely like sealed off and until you open it. And that makes sense, because not only is it the dead people in there that you're breathing in, like their bodies and whatever disease that might be in the air from their bodies at the time, you're getting I feel like a lot of people maybe don't think about that, because you're getting a lot of older bacteria that might not be in in our system, in our ecosystem anymore. It's preserved in that pyramid, and you open it up and you breathe it in, and all of a sudden you have like a new form of the plague or something that you can't fix, because we haven't had that plague in like thousands of years.
Organic matter can continue to live if it has something to thrive on. And that's, when you think about stone is porous, it lives in stone. If it somehow finds moisture that stays in the stone, it can begin to cultivate. And so it makes sense that even after hundreds of thousands, like, it's going to be toxic. So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, I'm sure once it's like moist on the inside, especially with it being limestone, that on the inside it's probably going to continue to stay like that. And
limestone's extremely porous.
Yeah,
and it can hold water for a long time. Was also one little last fact about Egypt is very fun. Is the oldest food in the world was found in an Egyptian tomb was honey. Honey is the oldest food found in the world, and they found honey in a tomb, and honey actually never truly expires.
Yeah.
It does like solidify and change, but there's actually ancient honey that they found in the tombs. I don't think I would try it just because I don't want to die, but I think that's a really interesting thing that they found ancient honey pots in tombs, and I just found that fascinating that after all these thousands, that honey's still there and it's still technically edible.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I don't know that I would eat it either, because to all the stuff that's probably been sitting in there.
Right.
But I knew that honey was actually technically doesn't expire, because my dad would always say, like, no, don't throw that honey out. It doesn't expire. And I'm just like.
But it's all crystallized. You have to melt it down in order to get it back to a state that you recognize. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Dwayne, very good. Honey is actually antibacterial. They used it in dressing a lot of wounds. And so, it was there not only for the pleasure of eating, but for the pleasure of disease. So there you go.
I'm going to start eating more honey then. Noted.
I don't think it'll cure really what ails you, but back in the ancient time, it'd probably do way better than most things. So
probably is why it's so good for your throat, though. Whenever you get sick, like as a singer myself, like I usually am consuming honey left and right, not only for the soothing properties, but I'm sure if it is antibacterial, it probably takes away any bacteria that you don't need in your throat.
Yeah. So it's all fascinating. So.
If you guys are just coming in, this is Uncovered Paranormal with Blair Woods. We are going into the last half of the segment. We are talking about pyramids, and Rin actually had a lot of knowledge on pyramids, which was so cool, and I love that. We didn't plan that, by the way. I didn't tell her.
No, she didn't even tell me the topic, so I was more unprepared than I wanted to be. If I had studied up, it would have been like taking over the show. So.
I love that, though. I love that you had so much. I'm over here learning, too. I'm like, ooh, I'm getting some like good bits.
If you ever want to do any archaeological old stuff, I got some fun topics that are some paranormal, fun archaeological stuff. Maybe we'll chat about it after. So
we should. I love it. Rin is going to tell us really fast her paranormal story, though, because apparently she has a couple. So Rin, if you want to tell us 1 to 2 paranormal stories that you have, the floor is yours, my lady.
I think I'll probably tell you one longish one from when I was a kid. So I've always felt like I've felt a lot of things. I've been really empathic my whole life. Even my mother, like she would always say, like just that I felt everything. Like somebody could sneeze in the other room and I'd be like sniffling. Like I felt
Oh,
everything. And so, and I've shared in my own stream and I'll share it here. Like I lost my mother when I was very young. But we had moved into this house, right, that she ended up passing, not in the house, but where we lived in this one home and she passed away during our time living there. But I remember when we moved into the house, I had this very uneasy feeling and it just felt very strange. And I remember riding my bike in the garage. So I'm super pale. My mom wouldn't let me out in the sun to ride my bike. So she would take all the cars out of the garage and I could ride my bike in the garage because I wasn't allowed out in the sun because I'm so pale. She didn't want me to get
oh,
sunburned. And I fell down on my bike once in the garage and there was some broken glass in the corner. We had just moved in, and it was my mom just sweeped it over. She's like, "Don't touch it." I mean, I was old enough not to like play with it, but I remember falling down next to it, and I'm gonna get really honest and personal with you guys. And I fell down, and I remember not being able to get up, and it wasn't even really hurt. I just fallen off my bike, and I was down, and I was landed right next to the glass, and I heard this voice says, "Pick up the glass and cut yourself with it." And I just remember like, what? And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, my mother slams open the door to the garage and is like, "Are you okay?" And I remember at that moment being like, my mother and I are so deeply connected. Like why would she come right? Like I mean, you would have thought like the
yeah.
house was on fire the way that she ran in there. It was really crazy. And I
That's
remember
insane.
it was terrifying. And I just remember being like shaking off and be like, that was weird. Maybe I'm just being, I was like, maybe I'm a dramatic 12-year-old. Maybe this is just, I'm being weird. So I let it ride. And then a couple of days later, I was laying in bed and then I just woke up and all of a sudden my bed started moving. Like it was like bucking like this.
Oh,
And it was very creepy. And I like screamed and my mother came running in and it had all stopped. Obviously it always stops. And it stopped it. She was like, "Oh no, it's just a water pipe under your room." Like, she's like, "That's probably all it is." And I was like, "Okay." And then like 2 weeks later, we came home from church. The entire house was flooded on the side by my room. And I remember like the plumbing guy was here and stuff like that. And then I said to mom, I was like, "Oh, it must have been the pipes under my room that burst. And that's why my bed did it." And he was like, "Which one's your room?" And I was like, "That one." He's like, "There's not any pipes under your room." And I was like, and my mom's like, "Yes, there is. Go away." She's like, go play outside." She's like, "Yes, there are pipes under your room." But she's like, this guy, like, she was trying to like play it off because I don't know what she was thinking or what went through her head. But sadly, after that, it wasn't too far after that she ended up passing. And all the stuff in the house got a lot creepier really
yeah.
fast. I would walk down the halls and I would see things out of the corner of my eyes. I would hear footsteps. Like it would. So on my side of the house was my brother, my sister, in my room, and then on the other side of the house was my father's room. But like my sister was in college, and my brother sleeps like the dead, so he was passed out. And I know he wasn't walking around, and I would hear people walking around all night. And I remember once my door flung open, and I heard footsteps walk all the way to the side of my bed, and I lost my mind. But I knew that I couldn't bother my father because he didn't believe in any of this. Like I could tell my mom this, but my father would be like, "Something's wrong with you, or you're just being attention grabbing or whatever." So I was too scared to ever tell him these things. And it was just pretty terrifying. And it went on for a long time, and I started losing sleep over it. I just felt really uncomfortable in my home. I remember I was brushing my teeth once. I looked down and I came up. There's a little boy standing next to me, and I will never forget. I just went back to brushing my teeth and I put my head down and I looked back up and he was gone. And
Brave. I would have peed.
it's just one of those things where it got to the point where it's just so weird. And then once I was filling up the bathtub to take a bath, and I like passed out, which it's weird. If you're filling up the bathtub, you usually remember that you're filling up a bathtub.
Yeah.
But I like fell asleep and went to bed. Like, and it was weird. A lot of things happened with water.
Yeah.
Like anytime water was like, it was just very strange. So like I said, these are like some really personal things. I don't actually talk to many people about these ghost stories because they are pretty strange and people might think I'm a little crazy. But it was weird, like to fill up the bathtub to go take a bath, and then all of a sudden I went to my room and I like passed out and like fully clothed, like on the edge of my bed. And my dad came, he's like, "You're flooding that." Like, he was so mad at me, and I was like, I don't remember anything. It was just so many strange occurrences. And then it all came to a head one night. Well, and then there's a second part of the story. But I don't mean to take the whole thing. This is pretty quick. I'm gonna finish it.
Before it.
So my sister's room was right across the hall from me. So if you opened my door, you would see her door right there. So you could like open both of our doors and we could stand in our rooms and like talk to each other if we wanted to. She was in college, so she was never home really, but like we had a room for her for when she did stay over. And I remember I would watch movies in her room because she had a TV and she had an unlocked TV, so I could watch R-rated movies in her room. So I would stay up late at night and watch R-rated movies in her room. And I remember one night I was getting ready, I turned off the thing and I went to go turn to the door, and there was something standing in front of the door. And I like went to go look at the door handle, so I'm only looking like this. I'm not, my eyes aren't up, they're kind of down. And I see like someone standing, and I could tell it's a man. It's got like buttons on its jacket, kind of like a military garb jacket. And it's standing there in front of me. And it's weird, like I didn't feel like scared that it was gonna, but I was too afraid to like lift my head up and look at its face. I just remember I said that, and like it's just so like every pulse in my body was so angry. And I just remember it stepped aside, and then I like opened the door and ran, like hid under my covers with all the lights on in my room, just terrified.
I would have simply ran away from the house. Like,
I mean, where do you run when you're like 13 years old though?
Oh.
Like I'm at home, but like I'm a little kid. Like what am I gonna do? All I could do is run into my room and turn the lights on. And that was one of the last experiences that I had there, because I think after that I started really shutting myself down. And like once you tell yourself you don't want to see it anymore or think about it or be open to it, you do. And so I've really closed a lot of those doors since that encounter, because I could tell it was getting worse and worse.
Yeah.
And I talked to my brother a couple years later, and he had told me that he only had one experience, that he woke up one night and he felt like something was jumping on his chest. And then all of a sudden it jumped off his chest, and then a poster on the side of his wall like ripped off. And he's like, that's the only thing that ever happened to me. And I was like, but I always remember I would always negotiate with the ghosts after they came in my room. I would start crying. I'd be like, please leave my little brother alone. Like I was just so worried for him, because he was so much smaller than me, and I just knew that like he would be so much more scared than I was. And I was like, I'll be the brave one. Just come bother me. Don't bother him. So, and then the worst part was the very end of the story. I came back 10 years later to this house. I drove by like when I was in town visiting a friend, and I drove by the house, and my window, like the blinds to my old room were open. I saw a little girl in there from the back, turned around, was my fucking childhood face. Me as a fucking 5-year-old. Sorry, I'm gonna swear. I kid you not. I saw it. I drove like hell, and I never went back to that house. Never searched it up. Never looked it up. It was. I heard of those things happening when I didn't even assume. But like she had little pigtails, and she turned around.
That's demonic.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. I'm going to have to sleep with all the windows, all the lights on, all the windows shut. Like it's terrifying. But this is my big ghost story, and that was the last of all of it. So.
That like solidified the whole time that I've been like trying to figure out like just peace inside my mind, because me as someone who I obviously don't go actively searching for ghosts because they scare me, but they find me. So that's
they'll find you.
Yeah, they'll find you, even if you don't want them to. So the whole time I've been trying to like figure out like maybe if like I could figure out what you're dealing with, and you saying that you saw yourself confirmed for me. It was definitely demonic, because that's some stuff demons do. That's the stuff that demons like to play.
Yeah. And I would see like women crying in the corners and stuff like that in my like house when I walk, like just like I would see so much on a daily basis. It became like so numb to it. But where I actually grew up, it was a former mission town. And obviously, if you know anything about mission towns, you know the Catholics, that Latin Catholics came in, and mostly Mexican came in and enforced their religion on the Native Americans of the place. And putting that heavy burden of religion and new morals and new life, and just the oppression that they did to the people there, like you cannot scrub that away. Again, like we're talking about a place being imprinted. I lived at a base of a mountain called Mount Diablo, which Devil's Mountain, and like I said, it definitely was a very magical area, and most of my ghost encounters happened during those 3 years living there.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. The it's interesting though that you said I don't want to repeat it just as a just as a precursor because it was something personal for you and also it's kind of
I'm
triggering
happy to, if you need to
people.
repeat it, I'm fine with that.
Um,
No worries.
well, the glass part of the story, I'll just
Oh
call it.
yeah,
If you
the
guys
first
missed
part,
it,
yeah.
yeah. If you guys missed it, you missed it. But that's really scary that that happened because that is a obviously that was my first tip off that it was probably something
Bad.
different that you were dealing with. Um, or an angry energy, if you will. I had something very similar happen when Haley and I were down hiking. I don't know, I can't remember where I think it was near Tracy City, Tennessee. And we went to the one trail that I told Haley, I was like, let's go to this trail. It ended up being the haunted one once we actually like looked into it.
Right.
And Haley like told me, she was like, oh hold on, Alexa, stop. Sorry, it went from playing Egyptian music to I don't really know what that was. Um, but once she and I went there and we figured out like the trail, we had done a little bit of research because whenever we go hiking, we always like do like the research of the trail itself just to make sure we know like we're not gonna get lost because like I don't want to die.
No.
So when we researched it, there was a lot of like ghost stories behind it too. And Haley was like, I'm okay with the ghost. I'm chill with it. But like if I see like a little toy ball or something, because she just watched a TikTok about kids and like if you see like a ball or whatever, it's probably a kid spirit. She was like, if I see a toy ball, I'm out. Like I'm out of there. So as we were hiking down, I've told the toy ball story before for you guys. We did end up accidentally finding a toy ball. Her dog sniffed it out, and it was a really like old, like
No.
dirty like ball that had been there obviously for a while. So we got out of there, but on the way down, it was really weird. And when we were sitting on the edge, so those of you who don't know me that well, I'm deathly afraid of heights. Why I hike, I don't know. But I am deathly afraid of heights. It scares me. It makes me want to vomit. I hate it. And so we were taking pictures on the edge of this bluff that was it was probably maybe like a couple hundred feet up. And a couple hundred feet for me, that's more than enough for me to be like, nah. But I wanted to be brave because she was being brave. So I sometimes I do stupid stuff because my friends do stupid stuff. And so I sat on the edge of it with my feet dangling down. And I told her, I said, I, I've got to get off this cliff. She was like, why? And I was like, and this might be a little triggering. So if you have any
All right. Yes, I should have trigger warned my story as
yeah,
well.
if you have any mental health problems, close your ears or log off the stream. I don't want to trigger anybody because I know that this is a touchy subject, but there was a deep voice that told me jump straight up, just like jump. And I was like, I was holding on, like I was shaking. She was like, what's wrong? I was like, you gotta help me. You gotta help me get off of this because something's telling me to jump. And I feel like I should, and I know I shouldn't. And so like, it was one of those like overwhelming feelings to do it when I knew I didn't want to do it. And I knew that like, I like, I don't think like that. That's not thoughts that I haven't, like, that's not thoughts I have. That's not
It,
something normal for me.
right. Yeah,
So
I
it's very
totally feel you. Yeah,
dead
to be at
that.
12 to have that thought
Yeah.
when you're very happy. Like I had no idea where that thought came from. And also, when you're, I mean, especially me now, I didn't have the internet like we do now. Like, you don't know about mental health at 12 really. And like, so when you hear something, so you're like, what is that? Like, you're very confused, but like the conversation doesn't exist. So like, you don't know how to talk about it. And I think like it's
Exactly.
good that you had a friend to talk to about it and be like, I need you to help me understand why this is happening. I got to get away from it. Because
Yeah.
yeah, like, because Blair, that I I do think a lot of times evil things can talk to you and
Oh,
can
they
really
absolutely
mess your mind.
Yeah, they absolutely do, especially for us who are a little bit more empathic, who are able to connect with them even if we don't want to. I try so hard to block it out. I would rather not have this gift. I would rather just not, honestly, because the bad things, the bad energies and demonic spirits and presence, they also have access to you as well as the good ones. So it's a catch-22. You can talk to people who were once here, and also you can talk to things that maybe you don't want to talk to. And I think it was very terrifying because that's never something that's happened to me. I've never had anything
Those
like
kind of
that
thoughts before, yeah.
specifically. I mean, I've definitely dealt with my fair share of like mental health
Of
struggles,
course, yeah.
but like especially now in my mindset where I'm at now, I'm very healthy mentally, I think. And I've gotten to a point where it's like I know how to healthily cope with things. I know how to deal with things. And and it wasn't even my voice, which was even more scary. It wasn't my voice that I heard say it, but it was a feeling that I had to do it, and it was almost like it was trying to like literally take over me and get me to do it. And I literally had to have Haley drag me off because I was so scared. I was like, if I get up right now, I might go the wrong way. I need you to drag me off, like drag me back. It was really scary because I was like, I've never felt like compelled to do anything like that. Like, that's not me at
And
all.
it's truly terrifying because it's like
Mm,
it's such a strong urge, but you're also like, it's like I said, it's like a stronger urge, and then you're behind it yelling, no, 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 and it's like if you don't have like I don't know what would have happened had my mother not like. I never like just I'll never forget that moment of her like face like she was terrified and
Another
just like
thing
yeah.
too, I was
Oh, go ahead.
thinking is she probably was dealing with the most of it because normally it starts with the kids and the wife, and the man doesn't really get affected, the man of the house. So it was probably, she probably knew something was up,
Yeah.
um, and
I'm
that's
sure
why,
she was more empathic, and I was too
yeah,
little for her to. I mean, I think if she was around today, I think we probably would have a lot to discuss because I
absolutely.
don't think that I don't think that it just came out of nowhere. And you know, it's very interesting. I think my father probably had experiences, but he's a very logical man, and he writes off a lot of things. And it's very interesting. And my sister is also like my father, where she's like, "No, nothing happened," and I was like, "You know, sometimes things did." She goes, "No, I know, but no." Like
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you don't want to be involved. So
Kind
I
of an
totally
act of
get it.
protecting yourself, because if you don't acknowledge it and you
Yeah.
can trick yourself into thinking it doesn't exist or it doesn't happen, then it can't hurt you.
Exactly. And I mean, that's definitely after this really bad experience, you know, I definitely shut a lot of it off. And it's really interesting because when I have, I don't want to say moments of weakness, but like when I go through new traumas or I feel extra sad, like it sneaks and I can feel it and I have to
Yeah.
actively turn it off. And, you know, like I said, I've got tons of these stories from when I moved to LA because that was another big part of my life is when I moved here and
Yeah.
just the fascinating things. And we also have a place here in LA that's not too far from me right now called Bee Cave Rock. And it also has prompted many people to want to do certain things as well. So one day, if we want to put a trigger warning on this thing, we can talk a lot about just how spooky LA can definitely be. I mean, you've been here,
Definitely.
you know, LA is a haunted place more so than I've ever felt before. So
I lived there for 2 years about,
yeah,
and I definitely have to say a lot of my paranormal experiences came from LA.
it is a stacked place and it's grown
Yep.
so fast and changed. So yeah, I would love to do a whole LA episode with you because we could tell a gazillion stories.
That would be fun. We should actually collaborate on that because I'll be in LA again soon. So we could do
That'll be
like an in-person one.
exciting. I would love to take you on my ghost tour. I take my friends every Halloween on a ghost tour around LA. It last time we did it, it took 6 hours because I had so much I wanted to show
I'm
them, but it
down.
was a deeply fun time.
I got
We'll
nothing but
stream
time.
the whole thing. Let's do it. Let's stream it. It'll make a
Do
great
it.
time.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Ren, for coming in and
Thank you.
talking about the pyramids and also sharing your ghost story with us. I appreciate that so much. Guys, please don't forget to favorite Ren and show her a lot of love. She has a show called Stumped. It's on Tuesdays. Do you want to elaborate?
Yep, Stumped is on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do a lot of different fun topics. It's a multiple choice game show. It is fun to play. It's easy to play. And like I said, it's not so hard. Everyone has a really good time. And we will be having this girl on later this month. So it'll be a really good time, guys. So
I'm so
please
excited.
give this girl some love. We love her on here. She's a doll. She's amazing. Please give her some love. And I'm so grateful that she wanted to come on the show.
So grateful to have you. Thank you so much, Ren. I hope you have a good
Bye.
night. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, guys. She's a bloomin' onion. You know, there's a lot of layers. Thank you guys so much for attending another Uncover Paranormal. I am very blessed to have this show. I love the paranormal. It's a weird topic for me because I love it, but also it scares me, as we just discussed. And I'm so very grateful to have this just platform in general to share with you guys. Chris, thank you. We are going to stay on and just talk about a few things. So, Uncover Paranormal is over. I'm going to change my profile picture really fast. We're going to do another Uncover Paranormal next week on Wednesdays at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've got some big news for you guys, though, in just a second. So let me get covered back up, if you will. I don't know. Let's cover up the paranormal. I have no idea. Oops, that's the wrong profile picture. Good going, Blair. All right. Yeah, English is hard. Hold on one second, guys. I'm so sorry. There we go. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, I have some really cool big news for you guys. Let me change my little description here. Again, thank you guys for coming in and enjoying, I hope enjoying the stream tonight. That was so cool. I literally did not plan that with Rin at all. I didn't know that she had so much knowledge on the pyramids, and I can't wait to pick her brain one day because I love Egypt. I would love to know more about it. I love everything about it. I love the idea like of the pyramids and what they're for. Like I literally, when I die, I've told my parents like I want like a mausoleum like very similar to the pyramids. I'm definitely gonna have to have a good life insurance policy for that. But I think it'd be really cool to have that and to like, I don't know, to have like a maze in there. I don't know. That's really morbid to think about. I don't know if anyone else thinks about that, but I think about it often because like I guess like I want to, I don't know. I want to have the nice things in the afterlife as well. I don't know. I think that's why I like Egyptian culture so much because they also believed in just a lavish afterlife as well. And I do believe that there's several layers to this world. There's several realms, and I think that I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to happen to me in the afterlife. I don't know where we go. So I think that it'd be really cool if that's a possibility to have like a really like fun afterlife. I don't know. Maybe we get reincarnated. No idea. Really fast. I'm going to change up the music too while I have you guys here. We're gonna have some of my music in the background. If you guys don't know, I'm a singer-songwriter. My name is Blair Woods. I do pop R&B. I do covers of everything. The news! The news! I don't know who is in Florida, but I have news for my Florida babies. And I will be streaming this. I promise you guys I will. I'm not going to not. I don't want you guys to miss out. But if you're in Florida, there's going to be an opportunity for you guys to come see me perform live in person. I'm doing a small artist showcase. It is a small building, but it's a free, like it'd be free for you guys to come. Um, I wanted to do something really cool for you guys while I'm in the area. As you guys know, I'm primarily in Los Angeles, but while I'm in Florida and while I have to be here, I wanted to do something fun in near my hometown. You guys know I'm from Destin, Florida, and I am going to perform at a place in Fort Walton Beach, Florida called the Enlightened Studios. It's called the Sound Cafe, actually, within Enlightened Studios. But it's a really cute little joint, and I just want to shout them out really fast. I know they're probably not in here, but they have been so supportive and kind and willing to work with me to get this to be a thing. Because the problem with this area of the panhandle is that pop music doesn't do well. Pop performers do not get booked often. It's very difficult to get booked if you're not a country artist or a rock artist here because they don't take you serious. And being a female as well, it's really hard because they don't take you serious here. They kind of scoff at pop music, and that's the experience that I've had here, which is why I resent this area so much. Sorry. But you guys heard me say I lived in LA for 2 days or 2 days, 2 days. I've literally just merged the comments and everything. I lived in LA for 2 years, and I got a big start of my career in Los Angeles because people are actually, believe it or not, so supportive in Los Angeles for pop singers and just for any singer really. I know people always say that like you don't have to move to LA. It helps. It really does. And it helps networking. It helps really get your name out there. And it gave me the small platform I have that we've been growing, and I'm forever thankful for it. But I would like to see some support from my hometown because obviously I grew up here. I don't think my parents want to move to Los Angeles. It's just not in it's not their thing. So I would love to be able to have some support in my hometown, um, since obviously I visit here, and right now I'm residing here for the time being. So I would absolutely love to have some support. So I partnered with the Sound Cafe, and I'm going to do an hour-long artist showcase. I will be performing my EP. Um, Mia, absolutely, Mia, add me on Instagram. We'll talk. Um, and I'll be performing my EP. Next chapter, please. I'll also be giving you guys a first performance of White Wings before it even releases, because it's on the 26th. Um, Paul, that's not the place that I'm performing at. That's why I said what I said earlier, because that person did write backhanded articles, but that's, why I'm so thankful to have Enlightened, because they're very supportive of all artists and of actual, of people who write their own music. And that's what you can't get booked anywhere around here if you don't sing country music and if you don't sing covers. Like, so many people that get booked around this area are cover artists. I'm not a cover artist. I like to do covers, yes, but I write my own stuff, and I'm trying to make a name for myself. So I will be performing on May 26th from 7 to 8 at the Enlightened Studios. If you guys are in the Fort Walton Beach area, please come down. If you guys are able to make it, please come down. I would love to see you guys there. I'm going to be singing, again, my EP. I'm going to be singing a few covers, just because I don't have enough music to cover an hour. But I'll be singing a few covers, and then I'll be ending out the night with a special performance, a first performance of my new single, White Wings, which will be out May 28th everywhere. So I'm super excited to be able to have this opportunity. I'm really nervous because I've never performed for this area before. So if you are in the area, please come by and show some love and support, because I'm nervous. I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I'm I don't know. It's just weird because I've always performed in Los Angeles, and I'm used to people just being down with it out there, but out here not a lot of people are down with it. So thank you, John. I appreciate you. Thank you, Pringles. Paul. Hi, Mike. The area is Fort Walton Beach, Florida. On my IG, there's Sunflower Nation on me, but I'll message you. Yes, please. Yeah, if you don't mind. Down with the sickness. Oh, Any other news? Um, Essentially, that was kind of it. I have a song coming out, and on May 28th, you guys can go pre-save it. It's called White Wings, and I'm going to be doing a live performance of my EP and that song, on the 26th. So again, it is a free event. I just wanted something like small and kind of short, so that I can, like, get used to it. Haley from